Welcome back to the Hub on Hollywood podcast. I'm your co-host, James Rojas.
And I'm Jamie Blanco.
On this week's episode, the video game-inspired show Fallout is out, and it is a big hit. We take a look at the Mandela Effect in popular movies that definitely did or did not happen. A Law & Order cast member becomes a true hero on set. Sydney Sweeney is not pretty, nor is she talented. But first, we will explain. We will explain that.
Yeah.
First, a scam alert targeting local filmmakers in New England. Jamie, say it ain't so. What's going on with this thing?
Okay, so there's always scams out there, James, but this one in particular has been targeting actors in Boston. So weird. So random, too. It is sort of, but maybe they know that Hollywood East is a booming place. So I follow a number of film groups on Facebook and social media. You know, I'm part of the union. And there was a woman who was posting about a casting agency who had reached out to her, and they're like, hey, we've got the perfect role for you. We've got this amazing role for the upcoming Liam Neeson Naked Gun reboot. That they claim, that this fake casting agency claims, is being shot in Boston. They're like, we've got this amazing role. It's filming here in Boston, you know. And of course, the other person's going to be like, awesome, great, you know, hook me up. And they're like, great, perfect. We'll get everything set up as soon as you sign up for our service. And as soon as you pay to have a profile on our casting agency, as soon as you set that up and send us the money, we're going to get you this amazing role in this amazing movie that is filming here in Boston. And surprise, surprise, not legit. Super sketch.
Let's start with some of the first red flags. First, can we talk about how a casting agency will not ask you to pay in order for you to audition? Because if they're reaching out for you saying, we think you're good for this role, there would be no reason for them to ask you to pay to audition for that.
Right, because they are paid by the film. They are paid by the producers to find the talent. Any and all legitimate casting agencies, of which there are many here in New England, will not charge you for a basic profile and to list your resume and your photo with them. I have never had to spend a single dollar to be a part of these casting agencies and to get cast. So that's your first major red flag right there. And James, I think another question would be, well, what do you do when you're being targeted by a scam like that? And you can go straight to SAG-AFTRA and report it with them. So get a hold of your local rep, reach out to SAG New England, and absolutely report that agency so that they can then take the next steps in shutting those people down, in making sure that other actors in New England or elsewhere are not targeted and taken for a ride and lose their money for a role that doesn't exist.
Yeah, we say agency in quotations because that's not a real agency. A real agency wouldn't do that. And I guess another red flag would be the very fact that the new Naked Gun movie is not filming in Boston.
That is correct. They are filming in Atlanta. So as much as we would love, adore, be so super psyched for the new Naked Gun reboot, remake movie to be being shot here, there is no indication right now that is the case. That is taking place in Atlanta to the best of our knowledge right now, James. So if you get a call like this, you get an email saying, oh my God, you've got this amazing role, you just have to sign up for our profile online. Like, no. Immediately report it. Do not fall prey to that. However, in good news, James, we do have some more information about this really cool Naked Gun reboot.
Yeah, so I guess it was about a month or so ago when we learned that that there would be a reboot of the all-time favorite, the classic Naked Gun series, and we heard that Liam Neeson was cast as the main role, which is perfect because not only is Liam Neeson's name very close to Leslie Nielsen, who was the star of the original Naked Gun series, but again, people were saying there was a skit with Ricky Gervais, and where he, was part of this skit where he was saying he wanted to do comedy, wanted to do stand-up, and he has such a dry delivery on him and known for his dramatic roles that him trying to be funny but serious, inadvertently funny in that sketch was hilarious. And so since that came out, people were saying, if there were going to be any more of these spoof movies like Airplane, like Naked Gun, it should be played by somebody who would play it very straight, as Leslie Nielsen did. And yeah, Liam Neeson's name was right up there. And so that was great to hear that he was cast for that role. But we also got some new awesome casting news for this film also.
Right. Playing the lead female role, Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, that's
which
great.
is so cool.
Where's she been recently?
I know
she does a lot of things for, I don't necessarily know if it's for PETA, but she does a lot of animal rights events and shows and, things like that. So that's like the latest thing I've heard from her. But welcome back, Pamela Anderson, coming back for the Naked Gun series. I think she'll be perfect for that. She's used to doing parody movies before. I believe she's been in a couple of like the Scary Movie parody movies or some other ones.
Right.
And so she does have the comedic chops to do that, especially in this genre. So I think this is perfect casting.
That's wonderful. So you remember, I take it you were a fan of the original Naked Gun, James?
Oh, absolutely.
So how confident you feel that they can bring back that spirit, that slapsticky, dry humor, like just absolutely insane and hilariousness. Like, can they do it justice? Can they bring that back to a modern era and redo it in a modern era? Do you think it'll work?
There are two questions here. It's
okay.
Can they do it, and will they do it?
Yeah.
Can they? Absolutely, they can do it if they follow the proper mold of what parody movies were.
Formula.
The original. Yeah. The formula, the Naked Gun series, they were parodying the style of, law enforcement and cop shows and things like that back in the day. But after, I would say the series of Scary Movie parody movies that came out, the rest of those kind of films started leaning more heavily on the celebrity cameo or the event of the month cameo, and Britney Spears, let's make a joke about her, and like Paris Hilton and all these other things. So it became less funny because it was just a cameo, a kind of like a parodying celebrities movie at that point. If they go back to the roots of parodying what the modern day police drama is of today, I think they can do it. If they kind of follow the rule book of what like the current Law and Order or NCIS or other shows or movies, again, of today's age, and they base their jokes off of that and not necessarily pop culture events, I think it will work. One reason why Airplane and Naked Gun work is because the jokes are timeless. You can watch those films right now, even like Blazing Saddles. Like you can watch those films right now because, sure, they have some pop culture jokes from that day, that time, but it's not the majority of the film. The majority of it is slapstick.
Yeah.
It's very subtle, maybe over the top humor that anybody could enjoy. So if they do that, they can. Will they? I don't know. I won't hold my breath, unfortunately.
Well, also there are some jokes that just don't age. So those classic movies like Blazing Saddles, they relied heavily on race and, jokes that would never fly today, right? They were spectacular back then, would not in a million years fly today. So it's what do you kind of replace that with what is now socially acceptable and not socially acceptable? I think they can tread that very delicately. I think there's plenty of humor, in places that you can go without that. But I think that there was just a magic about those original movies because there was so much that you could get away with that maybe you can't get away with now. So I'd like to see how they handle that.
About it, if the context is well thought out, then I think they still do have a lot of room to work with, a lot of wiggle room. It's just the execution and the context and the intent, I think, that matters a lot. A lot of people say that, you couldn't make a Tropic Thunder today because Robert Downey Jr. played a character who was black, who was a white person who was playing a black character. But I think you absolutely could make a Tropic Thunder today. Because what was the intent? What was the context of that film? What was the joke they were making? They're making a joke on the Hollywood industry, whitewashing actors or characters, and so I think, again, there's the argument of like, things are too sensitive. No, you could definitely make a Tropic Thunder today. You could definitely make, I think, a Naked Gun, an Airplane, or a Blazing Saddles with the right context, intent, and
all right.
Yeah. So it depends. If they are able, again, long story short, they can make this work. Will they make it work? I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Well, we will see, and we will be delightfully surprised, I hope, to see how it all comes together in the end.
You know what I'm surprised about, Jamie?
What?
I'm surprised that Sydney Sweeney is not pretty or talented. Did you know this? This is breaking news
to me. This is news to me, James. This is just utterly ridiculous.
You know when people say, like, I have a hot take, and then, like, okay, that take wasn't really that hot. This is a hot take because this lit up the internet after word got out that this long-lasting producer in Hollywood, Carol Baum, she came out and said that Sydney Sweeney, the multi-Emmy nominated actress who is the adoration of many people, men and women, I would say, around the world, she said that. She's also a professor at USC, but apparently she told her class that, she asked them, explain this girl to me. She's not pretty. She can't act. Why is she so hot? She said that nobody had an answer, but then the question was, well, if you could get your movie made because she was in it, would you do it? And, yada, yada, yada. But after word got out that she kind of like was, I don't know, like kind of just
hating
yeah, for lack of a better word, hating on this actress who's having this big major upswing in her career. A lot of people took exception to that. One, they were saying, well, obviously you must be blind because Sydney Sweeney is very attractive, and two, she is talented, so much so that she has been nominated for several Emmys for her work on Euphoria. She was recently on one of the biggest rom-coms in recent history, in Anyone But You. I think that's the name of the movie, Anyone But You. And so, of course, people had to respond. Did you see the statement that Sweeney's rep released following this?
I didn't. No, please tell me.
She said, quote, "How sad that a woman in her position, sharing her expertise and experience, chooses instead to attack another woman. If that's what she learned in her decades in the industry and feels is appropriate to teach her students, that's shameful. To unjustly disparage a fellow female producer speaks volumes about Miss Baum's character." And, of course, it didn't take long afterwards for Baum to release a statement of her own saying that she already regrets the whole thing and that she wasn't trying to necessarily target Sydney Sweeney, but she wanted to, and she didn't want it to be a cheap shot, but she was trying to make a point to the class, which apparently did not land.
No, I don't think that there was any legitimate point there to be made. Haters gonna hate, and I think that she was appropriately called out on this one. I think Sweeney's response was very respectful, almost like
respectful.
she took the high road.
Oh, definitely.
And she like eviscerated her with her.
There may have been a little slight in there when they say, if that's what she's learned in her decades in the industry. Yeah. Now, in my mind, the word decades was very big and bold, maybe implying like, okay, maybe you have other things going on. But no, overall, that was a very respectful and well thought out statement.
Yes, and I would just like for you and I to affirm that she is indeed beautiful and she is indeed extremely talented. We've both seen Euphoria, correct? You've seen Euphoria.
I've seen a couple episodes. But yeah, she's really good.
Exactly. It is so difficult to play that kind of role. She has great emotional range, and to be that vulnerable in front of the camera, physically, emotionally, she is extremely talented. I look forward to everything that she is in, and her career is only skyrocketing and taking off. And I agree that we need to be supporting young talent like that, not tearing them down. Those kind of petty jealousies, they don't help all of us. They don't lift us up, right? We all need to be lifting each other up and not tearing each other down. So, yeah.
Perfectly said. Well, Jamie, you know who else is lifting each other up?
What? Who?
Seth MacFarlane from Family Guy and Martin Scorsese. That's a good transition, right?
That is an interesting combo, but yes.
Yeah, apparently they have much more in common than we realized. Of course, we knew that Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy, American Dad, and all these other programs, we know, of course, he's a big animation fan and an animator himself. Well, apparently Martin Scorsese is also a big fan, specifically of vintage animated shorts. And so right now they've teamed up to fund the first ever curated restoration of historically significant animated shorts from the 20s and the 40s.
Wow. Okay.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are non-Disney, right? These are non-Disney animations.
I think so. I mean, I would presume so. I don't think Disney would just let them do that. But I don't think Betty Boop is a Disney product, but Betty Boop, I understand, is one of the animated shorts that will be restored to their glory days, to the good old days.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was pretty neat.
I love Seth MacFarlane. He certainly lifts us all up with every project that he does. But yeah, I'm thinking like Popeye the Sailor Man, and I'm just trying to think, what kinds of animations there were back then before those sorts of things were like monopolized. I'm sure that there were a lot of very interesting animations. One of them being James, there was a cartoon short from like the 1920s, and it focused on these like bones, like these dancing bones
I've seen that.
In a graveyard. And that was like one of the first ever animations. I think it was even from before 1920. So that would be that would be very cool to see.
You know what would be fun? If our listeners can comment down below your favorite 1920s animated short. What is your favorite? We will love to react to that. Everyone has a favorite 1920s through 1940s historic vintage cartoon out there.
Or they should.
Yeah, or as they should. But I think that's really good that they are helping restore the good nature of these old cartoons. But you know what's also good? Restoring the faith in humanity. Because recently, are you a fan of Law and Order? Do you like the show SVU?
Yes.
All this other.
I can take it in small doses because they're pretty heavy and they're pretty dark subject matter. But yes, overall, yes.
My family, we loved Law and Order. We watched it a lot, especially SVU, and it's a really good show. I come from a law enforcement family, so we watched all like the cop shows back then, and Law and Order was one of the fun ones. Produced by Dick Wolf. Dun dun. Dun, dun. Dun, dun. Anyway, so it turns out that the actress, one of the lead actresses for the past, I think like 25, I think this is the 25th season of Law and Order SVU, but Olivia Benson, the character who is played by Mariska Hargitay. She became a real-life action hero herself when recently they were filming a scene out in New York City, out in a park, when suddenly a little girl approached her saying that she was lost. Apparently the girl, she lost her mom. And then she saw Mariska there with her police badge, and she thought that she was an actual police officer in the park, so she just walked right by the camera. She didn't even notice the cameras, apparently, walked right by Ice-T and walked up to her and said, "Can you help me? I'm lost." And in an instant, she went into super cop mode, or like really super mother mode, and helped this girl find her mom. And there's actual video of this. This was caught on video of her carrying the little girl around as, kind of like, as people looked around, kind of making sure she didn't panic or freak out. But, that's really, really cool.
Oh, I saw this video earlier today, James, and I was literally in tears because it's so sweet. And it's this little girl who's about 4 years old. And to just be that innocent and yes, hyper mom mode was activated. She shut down the whole production for about 20-30 minutes. Stand down, everyone, we have a real emergency here. And helped her find that little girl. Mom.
If you think there was a bank robbery nearby, do you think Mariska would have jumped into action still? No, you don't think so? I think she would have.
She might have been a little underqualified, but I'm sure that she would want to help in real life. But what a thrill. What a thrill to be an actor and to play that kind of a character. And then to be of real service one day, like to be of real help. Like, I'm sure she just snapped into it in an instant. So that's cool. Life reflecting art and art reflecting life. So I'm glad everything worked out. And they found a little girl. They found her mom. It all worked out. Hopefully they got an autograph.
But then Ice-T placed the mom in handcuffs for losing the girl.
No,
I'm kidding.
Stop.
No, that didn't happen. Ice-T is cool. All right. Well, go Mariska. You rock and roll. You know what else rocks, Jamie?
What's that?
This new show on Amazon Prime, Fallout, which is based on the best-selling Bethesda video game franchise of the same name. Jamie, have you heard about this one, the video game, and did you hear about the show?
Yes, I have watched people play the game because I am horrible at video games. And I get so scared, James, especially with the ones that are like, shoot 'em up or zombies or something. Like, I get just so terrified. But yes, I've seen the game, not so much the show.
Yeah, so the show just came out, and actually all 8 episodes of the first season came out on Amazon Prime, and it is joining the short but seemingly growing list of video games turned into shows or movies that are actually good. Pedro Pascal, he was in The Last of Us. Great show. The show follows the same storyline, basic same storyline as the video game Fallout. It doesn't follow the same story, so this is new characters. However, it does fall into the same universe as the video game. So, and I just watched the first episode. It's getting great reviews, and I understand why. It actually exceeded my own expectations watching it. But for those who are not familiar, Fallout, this is a story about, in the future, post-apocalyptic Los Angeles brought about by a nuclear decimation. Citizens must live in underground bunkers to protect themselves from radiation, mutants, and bandits. This stars Ella Purnell as Lucy McLean. She's like the main character. Walton Goggins, he is fantastic in every single thing that he is in. He plays Cooper Howard, also plays a ghoul in this show. Aaron Moten, he plays Maximus. And Kyle MacLachlan, you know him from Twin Peaks. He was also in the original Dune. He's been in so many great things. He plays the overseer, Hank McLean, as well. And like I said, I've heard really good things about this show, and I'm pleasantly surprised that this has exceeded expectations from what I've heard. The reaction, not only from those who have been watching the show, but also from the fan base, has been incredible, so much so that I think in less than a week that it's been released, season 2 has already been given the green light.
Nice.
Visually, it's stunning. You could tell that Amazon threw in a lot of money into this project because it looks incredible. It looks just like the video game, but in real life. The standouts, the characters or the actors are Ella Purnell, who plays like the lead. And again, going back to Walter Goggins, first episode in, I think he's only in about maybe a quarter, if not less, of the first episode, and he steals the scene, he steals the show, and everything that he's in. And so I am really pleasantly surprised with this show adaptation. I cannot wait to get into more this season. And this is one I would highly recommend if you are a fan of the video game, as I am. I actually just recently played through the game for maybe like the third or fourth time already before I heard that they were making a show. And so freshly playing the game going into this is a great transition. So if you are a fan of Fallout or the Fallout franchise, highly recommend this show because it's fantastic.
And one of the things I did with The Last of Us was I went on YouTube and I watched like compilations of all the cutscenes from the video game, and then I watched the show. I'm sure that they have that for Fallout as well. If somebody wants to go and familiarize themselves with the lore. But between this, Fallout, The Last of Us, The Witcher, all of these video games now coming to life. Like, is that the new well that we're pulling from? Now that we've got, we're on sequels, we're on like this movie 4, 5, 6, 7, we're running out of ideas and we're recycling movies ad nauseum. They're beating the dead horse. Like, it just seems like maybe, is this the new well that we're pulling from?
If they're pulling clean, water from this well that is refreshing and nutritious, then I think go for it because there's mineral water. There's some good minerals in that water.
Right,
so this is some pretty good mineral water from this well. The Last of Us is great. One thing that I like from The Last of Us, I haven't played the video game, but from what I hear is that they follow the basic storyline, but there are changes, and those who have played the game and watched the show, they are happy and satisfied with those changes. So if that gets their seal of approval, then I'm in. And also for this one, again, same universe, so you recognize all the things from the video game, but it's a new character, new storyline in the same Fallout verse. So I think it works. So I like it. Can't wait to get into it. And if they could keep doing this with other video game franchises that deserve it, go for it. That's all I can say. Go for it.
One last question, James. If you could pick a video game to remake, like your favorite game or your favorite, storyline, if you could pick a video game to remake right now, what would it be?
Let's see. There was there's so many good games. There is. I'm replaying right now Red Dead Redemption 2. So that takes place in the old Wild West with Arthur Morgan and his band of outlaws. That's actually a really, really good story. And so I think if the video game has a great story to it, then it would make sense that it would be easily transferred into real life. And so I think Red Dead Redemption would be a really good one. There's also an old N64 Star Wars game called like Shadows of the Empire. That was a really fun game. I'm not sure story-wise if I recall was really good, but the gameplay was really fun. So I think those would be two video games that I would recommend. What about you?
I'm excited about the Among Us. Among Us is going to be an animated series. So I don't know if you've played Among Us, but it's a horror game. I know
what it's about, yeah.
Yeah, it's a horror game. You're on the ship. One of you is the imposter, and that imposter runs around murdering people, and you have to try to guess who the imposter is. It's super fun to play. Elijah Wood and Randall Park have been cast in that project, so that is one more to look forward to.
Is it basically like Alien? Like the movie Alien, where like there's, but the alien is pretending to be a crew member,
right? Exactly.
Yeah, you're trapped in space, going around the spaceship, and the one by one they're getting picked off, and they have to find it and destroy it.
Yeah, and you have to try to keep the ship from crashing too. You have to do these activities in the game in order to keep the ship going, while this imposter is running around murdering people. Yes, it's fun. So I'm excited for that one for sure.
I like it. I like it.
You know what else I liked, James?
What else do you like?
Or at least I thought I did. I thought I liked it. Do you remember back in your child memories in the 90s, early 90s, there was a movie, or at least many people swear there was a movie, and I remember this movie called Shazam, starring Sinbad. Do you remember anything like this, James?
I remember the movie Kazam with Shaquille O'Neal.
No, this was not that. So, James, look, I talked to my husband. I talked to my friends. I called a friend of mine today, Randy Serrano, who's
You called a Lifeline?
I called a Lifeline, who works for Telemundo, and I'm like, do you guys remember this movie? And all of them remember it. It's a movie called Shazam, where Sinbad plays a genie. He wears a turban, he goes on a wacky adventure with a couple of kids, and like I remember specific scenes from this movie where he is strutting around in his turban. But apparently, James, this movie never existed. Right?
I've heard about this, and I think it may. I guess people it is such a popular like mismemory, I guess, if that's for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
That College Humor, or what was College Humor, like the sketch comedy group and organization, they made a parody of like finding the lost tape of Shazam starring Sinbad, and I think that that news of like, oh, saw the Shazam clip or whatever fed into, missing the minor details of like it was a sketch, but like that fed into this loop of like misremembering. But this is called the Mandela Effect, right?
Right, yeah. So the Mandela Effect is this phenomenon where lots of people misremember the same thing. And, it goes from, as innocuous as, well, people are just simply misremembering and there was something similar at the same time and it's just a mistake, to other people who say, well, this is evidence that we've shifted into an entirely new universe, and in this universe, this movie never existed, but Shaquille O'Neal was in Kazam, but Shazam never existed. So I don't know where you fall on that spectrum of belief, but I do have a couple of other examples of the Mandela Effect in movies, and I believe you also have a list, James. So I was just going to kick it off with the first thing that I thought was kind of crazy, and I'm going to try to blow everybody's minds right now. In the Saw series, James, the Saw movies, the horror movies, what does Jigsaw say? What is the quote about the game? What is the quote? What does Jigsaw say?
He says, "Do you want to play a game?"
Wrong.
Wrong.
Apparently, what he says is, "I want to play a game." Right? But
Ooh,
everybody remembers, "Do you want to play a game?" Or "Let's play a game" is another one that some people remember. But do you want to play a game?
The other line, "Do you want to play Monopoly with me?" A lot of people think he says that, but he never said that actually.
God, I love Monopoly. Anyways, but that is something that is also the Mandela Effect. Most people remember, "Do you want to play a game?" But apparently in the movie itself, it's "I want to play a game." Is it just, did we just misremember, James? Or are we in a whole new universe? Are we in a whole new existence? We shifted to New Earth, and, it's just these little things that didn't make it through.
I do like that theory. I don't think that's happening, but I do like that theory. That's like a movie.
Yeah.
That should be its own movie.
That would be
called
cool.
The Mandela Effect. And then when people watch that, they forget everything about it and think something else happened.
Yeah.
But I like that theory. I don't, believe it, but I think it's a cool idea.
Okay.
But this also falls in line with one of the most famous lines in all of cinema history, taking place in Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. What does Darth Vader say to Luke?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
When, after he cuts off his hand and he's like, "Join me," and then he reveals this big secret. What does he say to Luke?
Well, everybody remembers it as, "Luke, I am your father." Right?
Right. Yeah. A lot
Except-
of people think that. Except the real line is, "No, I am your father."
Right.
And then, dun, dun, dun.
No, that's impossible.
That's not possible. Yeah. Is that possible or is it's impossible? It's impossible.
It's impossible.
See, that's another.
He says, no, that's not true. That's impossible. Search your feelings, Luke. You know it'd be true.
Yeah.
All that.
Okay. All right. Do you have another?
I do. So, do you remember Lamb Chop? The show Lamb Chop?
Yeah, I do.
I do. The little puppet
I do remember.
And all of that, and the song that they sing.
That brings back
that
nostalgia.
Never ends. So, what are the lyrics to that song that never ends?
I completely forgot, but I do remember Lamb Chop, and I remember watching it as a kid, but I do not remember that song.
Most people sing, "This is the song that never ends. It goes on, my friends." That's how I always sing it. That's, and I watched Lamb Chop, but apparently in the show itself, it says, "This is the song that doesn't end." This is the song that doesn't end, which doesn't sound right.
No,
it doesn't
never
sound
sounds
right.
better.
It doesn't flow. It doesn't seem like that's what it would have said. I always thought it was the song that never ends, but I went back and I saw a clip, and it does legitimately say that this is the song that doesn't end. And that's one that most people misremember also.
Interesting. That's... I like Never. Never sounds better.
Yeah.
Let's go to one of the most famous films ever made, not only in all of cinema, but also here in Massachusetts, Jaws. So that famous scene where the shark pops his head out while the sheriff, the police chief, is throwing chum into the water. He goes. A lot of people think he says, "We're gonna need a bigger boat."
Right.
But in actuality, he says, "You're gonna need a bigger boat."
Oh. Yeah, no, but that's how my father-in-law, that's his favorite movie of all time. Shot in Martha's Vineyard, shot here in New England. We're gonna need a bigger boat. Not you're gonna need a bigger boat. Like, you're both on the boat. We're gonna need a bigger.
Yeah,
that's what it should have been.
Like, I'm not leaving the boats. Yeah. Like, I'm not leaving. We are on this one boat. We need a bigger boat.
What is happening? What is happening, James?
So does that sink the entire movie? Is your father-in-law gonna turn his back against Jaws?
Nah, he's gonna love it. He's gonna love it forever.
Now, this one actually surprised me when I watched this scene back in Risky Business. You know that famous scene where Tom Cruise, he comes sliding into the living room into frame, singing that song, and he's he's not wearing any pants. He just has his underwear on, socks, shirt, sunglasses. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Well, upon further review, everyone thinks that he's wearing sunglasses, but he is not wearing sunglasses in that scene. He is wearing sunglasses in the poster and like the VHS box set, the image in the front. He is wearing sunglasses there. So I think a lot of people think that he's wearing sunglasses in that dance scene, which he does not. So, mind blown.
Interesting. Another one of the smaller ones. The dude from Scooby-Doo. Shaggy, yeah. Zoinks, Scooby, whatever. I did that really badly.
That was it. That was good. That was really good.
Terrible.
Zoinks.
Yeah. Everybody. We all watch Scooby-Doo, man. We all know the character. We all know Shaggy. But most people remember Shaggy having a very prominent Adam's apple that goes up and down and all of this stuff. But apparently in the cartoon, he never had an Adam's apple. But for some reason, we all think of Shaggy as having a prominent Adam's apple. Maybe that's because of live action. I don't know. But that was one where I'm like, I do. I remember like the little cartoon Adam's apple going up all the time.
No, I don't remember that one. I remember like an Adam's apple coming up. Like, for example, I just looked up Popeye. Popeye, looking at his photos, he does not have an Adam's apple. But I remember like cartoons like that of that era that Martin Scorsese and Seth MacFarlane are revitalizing. But cartoons like that, where that Adam's apple goes up and down. I remember cartoons like that having that, but I personally don't necessarily remember Shaggy with that.
I do. Anyways.
Okay. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying
I'm always right.
Yes, you are wrong. Technically, you are wrong. But I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't remember that. But
yeah.
This following one, this is my last one, but this one blew my mind. But in the iconic E.T. movie, when E.T., he wants to contact, his own kind, his own people, his own E.T.s. What does he say? E.T.
E.T. phone home.
Right? That's what you think he says. That's what I thought
James,
he said.
You can't tell me that he doesn't say E.T. phone home.
He doesn't say it,
what
apparently.
What do you mean? What is
Instead, I know. Instead of saying E.T. phone home, he says E.T. home phone.
You can't, no. I reject this. You can't get me to believe that.
Let me see. Let's see. E.T. home phone. Oh, we're gonna watch this really quick.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm watching it. Let's see.
No, it's
I just need
E.T.
to find a
phone
short
home.
clip.
E.T. phone home.
Let's see. Okay, so we have it. Can we hear this?
Yeah, I can hear it.
I'm getting past an ad.
Phone? He said phone? He said phone? Can't you understand English? He said phone. Home. You're right. That's E.T.'s home.
Oh my god, I need to re-see this movie. It's so good.
I know. Little Drew Barrymore.
E.T. home phone.
No.
Oh my god.
I think that
E.T. phone home.
Okay, so
E.T. phone home. E.T. phone home. Wants the coffee.
no,
so
we're in a
E.T. says E.T.
home
phone, and then Drew Barrymore says E.T. phone home. So that seems like that seems like a kind of a got you kind of a situation, because that line is said in that movie immediately after E.T. does say it.
Right.
But so I understand that one being misremembered. I think that one's a trick.
That's a trick.
That's trickery right there.
That's trickery, but also
my mind is blown.
My mind is blown. I just reject this reality full stop.
James mind blown.
James mind blown, not James blown mind. Okay, yeah.
Crazy.
All right, I don't know if I could take much more of these, James. It hurts.
I'm tapping out.
I'm tapping out. But you know what? We're not going to tap out of is this week's Cinequote.
I hope we don't tap out of this week's Cinequote. Last week we did tap out, but this is another week. This is a new movie, and fortunately it is not a Sunday Stumper, because we do not have a good track record with the Sunday Stumper. So,
yeah,
Jamie, if you're ready. Okay, for those who don't know, Cinequote, every week we play this game at the end of the Hub on Hollywood podcast that I'm sure you are following on social media at Hub on Hollywood. Also following us on everywhere we stream, wherever podcasts stream. We are there. We are home phone on the streaming services where you can listen to us, and you can also like and subscribe to us on our YouTube page. Watch us, like us, love us, gotta have us, phone home. Love it.
All right. Yay.
Okay, so Cinequote, back to that. Cinequote is a daily game where a new movie of the day is picked, and you have to guess which movie it is based on the 5 quotes that are provided. If you can guess it in one quote, that's fantastic. Sometimes it takes us 3. I think that's our average. Sometimes we don't get it, but this time we will.
That's right. With
that being said, Jamie.
Or else we'll reset the universe, and then we'll get it after that. Okay.
We'll go into a Sinbad universe where we did get it right. Where there was a Shazam.
Can't convince me otherwise. All right. Are we ready to play?
I hope so. Okay, let's go. We're going to go into quote number 1.
All right.
In 3, 2, 1.
For the first time in my whole life, I know what I want to do. And for the first time, I'm going to do it! Whether my father wants me to or not!
Oh, I think I know what it is.
Ooh, what is it?
I think it is... I can see it. Matthew Broderick, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I think it's...
Let's try it. I'm not quite sure, but let's try it, okay?
Okay, let's try it.
Okay,
Ready?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off in 3, 2, 1, submit. No.
Oh, come on! It's not like when the guy, when the
remember-
friend at the end is like decides to
There's
take the
music.
car.
There's like inspiring music underneath when he's doing his speech, and then the car goes through.
Okay.
Or the car goes through, and then he does that speech. So there's music underneath. So that's the only thing that kind of hung me up. But,
Okay.
Good guess.
All
Good
right,
guess.
all
I
right.
think it's the same vibe. That's good.
All right, next clue.
Quote number 2 in 3, 2, 1.
Wilton Academy. Hello? Yes, he is. Just a moment. Mr. Nolan, it's for you. It's God. He says we should have girls at Wilton.
Oh, I know what it is. Okay. Toga.
You're like Ferris Bueller's Day Off Part 2.
Toga.
Oh, Animal House?
Yeah, that's what I
Okay,
think.
let's...
Yeah.
I've never... Here's my confession of the week.
You can't.
I've never watched Animal House.
How dare you? No,
I've
you're
heard it
missing
doesn't.
out.
I've heard it doesn't live up or stand up to modern standards.
Absolutely not. But still, you must see it.
Okay,
That is still a classic.
To judge our predecessors, but Animal House, 1978, ready to submit
Yeah.
in 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
No.
come on!
So I guess someone else didn't watch Animal House.
No, but then it's a very similar kind of movie. This is a very similar kind of movie. We should have girls at
Oh,
Wilton's.
Revenge of the Nerds?
Maybe? Do you want to try
Let's hear
it?
the next quote.
Okay.
Let's hear the next quote, then we'll guess.
Damn it!
Okay.
How did I get that wrong?
Well, we have to play the next quote in order to guess.
Okay.
So quote number 3 in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, my niece is in a play with your son, says Mrs. Marks. No, I say, you must be mistaken. My son's not in a play. You made a liar out of me, Neil. Now, tomorrow, you go to them and you tell them that you're quitting.
Is it the Dead Poets?
Don't you say it. Don't you say you know this.
Is it the Dead Poets Society? I
I'm
know
liking
it.
these guesses
I know
I
it.
have nothing.
Okay.
I have nothing. So like I don't mind.
All right, I'm gonna guess the Dead Poets Society.
There is the Deadpool. I'm kidding. Dead Poet Society. Okay, the Dead Poet Society in 3, 2, 1.
Yay!
There we go.
All right. In that vein.
Remind myself that we must constantly look at things in a different way.
Robin Williams,
Yes.
rest in peace. I don't know why I said it that way. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. We love you.
All right. I knew it, right? I finally
All right,
got it.
look at us. We did it.
Woohoo! Yay!
About time. Do we have a little visitor over there?
We do. Sorry, Desi came to visit.
All right. Hi, Desi.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Well-
Because here at the Hub on Hollywood, it's a family show.
It's a family show.
Unlike the movie Animal House. Do not show them Animal House to your children.
What would you do if Mariska Hargitay rescued Desi from
Oh my gosh. That would be
events from Getting Lost?
that would be amazing. Yep, that would be incredible. I would be in hysterics if I had lost Desi in the first place.
Yeah.
But I mean, what better
then
way to
Ice-T comes
find
out of
your
nowhere.
child? What better way to
Ice-T
find your
comes out of
child?
nowhere, handcuffs you.
I know, right? What is with you and Ice Key and the handcuffs?
He's a fair man, but he's also harsh, and so
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that's a good point to end the show. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Hub on Hollywood podcast. Be sure to join us next week. But before you do, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, leave a review, because it really does help out the podcast, and you can listen anywhere you stream your podcasts.
That's right.
So, yeah.
So yeah.
That's
Until
fun.
next week.
That's cool.
That's cool,
Until
you
next
know.
week.
We'll see ya.
All right,
I'm
until next
Jamie.
week.
Yeah.
I'm James.
We'll see ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.